I am on page 75, and I do have a calculator. So you are welcome to use a calculator unless your instructor says no. But let's take a look at this first problem. This is a triangle. We want to know the area, so we're going to use 1/2 the base times the height. Now you can substitute 0.5, that is fine, but I'm going to set it up with the fraction. Sometimes the fraction is easier to work with than the decimal. This one is not the case, but I want to show you something here. You can take 1/2 of 8, and that would be 4, and then multiply that times this factor, and your area is going to be 17.2. This is inches. Area is always square. Number 2 is another triangle. So let's do 1/2 base times height. Now, at first glance, you might be thinking, well, I don't know the height. I'm looking for this thing. But in this particular one, that's not the case because of this right angle. Remember, height is always a perpendicular distance. And we do have that. We have the 8 there. So 1/2, 6 times 8. And we know that 1/2 of 6 is 3. And 3 times 8 is 24. So you do not need a calculator if you know that little trick of multiplying to get 3. Number 3, this is a trapezoid. So the formula is 1/2 the sum of the bases times the height. So I have 1/2 times 8 plus 3 times 3. So I have 1/2 of 11 times 3. So this time I'm going to say 1/2 of 33. And that's going to give me the area of my trapezoid. It is 16.5 square meters. Number 4 is another trapezoid. So we have 1/2 the sum of the bases times the height. So we have 1/2 of 10.1 and 4.9 times the height of 6. Everything is in inches. You can put it in your calculator right there, or if you want to practice the mental math, well, either way, you have to do parentheses first. So go ahead and add those two together, and you get 15. So I'm going to take 1/2 of 6 to get 3, and then multiply that 3 times that 15. And 3 times 15 is 45 square inches. Use the calculator if you need it. Number 5 is a triangle, so we're doing 1/2 base times height. So 1/2 of 2 times 5.6. This is the easiest one on the page if you know what you're doing. 1/2 of 2 is 1, and 1 times anything is the anything. So the area is 5.6 square centimeters. Trapezoid. Area is 1/2 the sum of the bases times the height. So 1/2, 8 plus 3 times 7, parentheses first, so we have 11 times 7. And on this one, I'm just going to use 0.5 times 11 times 7. I make so many mistakes typing my problems in. I'm better off to do them in my head if possible. Now, if I know I can't, I don't. I just do them with the calculator. But anytime I can use that half trick, I like to do that. Number 7. Carla wants to add a triangular extension to the deck shown below. How many square feet will be added to the deck? They're not asking me how many square feet the deck will have. They're saying how many square feet will be added to the deck. So we're looking at this triangular extension. Let me just draw it in there clearly so we know what we're dealing with. Right there. That's all we're interested in. So we know that it's a triangle. And I know that the base is 12. And the height is parallel to that 15, so that's going to be a 15. 1/2 of 12 is 6. And then 6 times 15 is going to be 90 square feet. And that's the answer we're looking for. If you need to use your calculator, by all means do that. That's fine. I don't know what that is. Oh, that's a highlighter thing. I've never used that button before. All right, number 8. The two legs of a right triangle are 9 inches and 14 inches. So we're dealing with a right triangle. Means it has a 90-degree angle. And the legs are attached to the 90 degrees. So we know that one of them is 9 inches and the other is 14 inches. And they want us to find the area in square inches. If they don't show you a picture, draw one, and you will save yourself a lot of mistakes if you can see what you're looking at. Now, I don't want to take half of 9 because that's going to give me a fraction or a decimal, but I can take half of 14 to get 7. And then 7 times 9, I know that is one of my multiplication facts, 63 square inches. Number 9. One way to find the area of a figure is to cut it into smaller shapes. Find the area of the trapezoid using the trapezoid formula. So that is 1/2 sum of the bases times the height. So 1/2 of 12 plus 6 times 6. You cannot just take half of 12. You have to take half of that sum. So it would actually be half of 18, which we can do. That's 9 times 6. So area of this trapezoid using the trapezoid formula is 54 centimeters square. The trapezoid has been divided into smaller shapes in 2 different ways. So one of them is to draw this diagonal here so that you're left with a parallelogram. And a triangle. And then let me do this one with a different color. On this one, we have a square and a triangle. Now, it's that same parallelogram that we started with, right? We know the area is 54 if we did it correctly, and we did. So now they want us to do composite areas where we find the two smaller pieces and put them together. And I will do that for you. I'm clearing off some space. So the first one is this triangle parallelogram combination. So triangle is going to be 1/2 base times height. So that's going to be 1/2 of 6. That's cutting this in half. So 1/2 of 6 times 6. So 1/2 of 36, or you can do 1/2 of 6 is 3, and 3 6s are 18. So this would be 18 square centimeters. And then right beside it is the parallelogram that is base times height. So base is 6, this 1/2 of 12 right there, times the height, which is also 6, and area is going to be 36 square centimeters. And then you have to put those together. 18 plus 36 is, of course, 54 square centimeters. So that proves to be a true way to do this. And then on this one, you have two composites. You have a square. So area is side to the second, or 6 to the second power. That's 36 square centimeters. And then area is 1/2 the base times the height. Base of that triangle is from here to here. That's 6. And the height is also 6. 1/2 of 6 is 3. And 3 times 6 is 18 square centimeters. And again, combining those two, you will get 54 square centimeters. So we've done the area 3 different ways, and each time we come up with the same answer. And that's how it should be. If you're doing the math correctly, you should get the same answer.